Hey guys, Tony here. A lot of you have been asking me about my thoughts on the upcoming June 5th proxy vote for AMC. In this video, I'm going to give you my exact instructions of what I want you to do on this upcoming vote. Let's get right into it. We're going to go through some educational material for just a minute. Stick around to the end of this video and I'm going to give you exact instructions of what I want you to do on this upcoming vote. Let's talk about the stock price real quick. AMC here towards the end of the day on Wednesday is trading at $2.82. We did sell covered calls with a $3 strike at the beginning of this week, thinking that the dilution was going to have a little bit of continued negative pressure through this week, and that the stock would not top $3 before Friday. We got a little bit of bonus push down from the CPI data this morning. As you guys know, everything is getting obliterated by the CPI. I'm okay with the stock price where it's at right now. I bought some more today at the VWAP midday around $2.82. During a dilution event like AMC has right now, where they're trying to raise $250 million, typically what they're going to be doing is trying to sell shares into the market when the price of the day is above the VWAP. Now, I missed the $2.77 low of the morning, and then it immediately ran up all the way to $2.86. So I was just patient. I knew that it would trend back down to the VWAP from the pressure of AMC selling shares into the market during the day. And when it hit that VWAP at $2.82, that is when I bought in. Depending on what happens with the volume of shares traded over the next couple days and weeks, there still is a chance that there could be some additional negative pressure on the price of the stock. For that reason, I'm continuing to keep cash on the side, not trying to load up at one specific price. I'm watching the chart every day and doing my best to time the bottom. Now that we got that out of the way, let's move on and talk about this proxy statement for the upcoming shareholders meeting on June 5th, 2024. There are 9 items on the ballot for you to vote on. Many of these you have seen before in the vote that we had last year. So let's talk in specifics about the items on here. Proposals 1, 2A and 2B have to do with whether the board is a classified board or a declassified board. Currently, AMC has a classified board where 3 members of the board come up for a vote every year, so it's a staggered election process. Item number 1 is a proposal to declassify the board of directors. And if you vote to approve that, then you would be able to vote on all of the board of directors every single year. So that is your chance, if you don't like them, to get all of them out. If you vote against number 1, then we're going to keep the existing structure where you can only vote on 3 board members every year. A classified board is kind of an anti-takeover measure. It makes it difficult for anyone to come in and kick out the entire board. Now, I know that some of you want to kick out the entire board, and so you might want to be thinking about how you vote on item number 1, depending on what your motivations are. If item number 1 is approved and we switch to a declassified board, then we go to item 2A, where you have a chance to vote on every single board member this year. If item number 1 fails and we keep the existing structure, you will be able to vote on item 2B, 3 board members, Philip Lauder, Gary Locke, and Adam Sussman. Proposals 3, 4, and 5, I think, remain the most controversial and the most misunderstood items on this ballot. Number 3, the proposal to eliminate the prohibition against stockholders acting by written consent. Number 4, the proposal to remove the limitation on stockholders' ability to call special meetings. And number 5, the amendment to expand the exculpation provision to limit the liability of certain officers. Let's spend a minute and talk about these items. I'm going to do my best to educate you what these exactly are about, because there is a ton of misinformation from people who are focused on one play, AMC, and they're not able to look at the entire picture of what's going on in the United States, in Delaware, with every public company out there. Bear with me for 1 minute, and I hope to expand your mind beyond the limitations of the flat earth conspiracy theorists. When I talk about expanding your thinking, I'm going to direct you to a couple of websites of independent analysis, because there are a lot of Backyard lawyers giving you advice on how to vote and what the meaning of these things on the AMC proxy vote are. Meanwhile, there is all sorts of data sources out there of independent thought, independent analysis governing all U.S. corporations. And you can go read about everything that is on AMC's ballot from an independent source instead of getting your information from a conspiracy-laden mind, somebody who is only looking at AMC, somebody who thinks that everything that has to do with AMC is conspiratory and that the company is purposely trying to bankrupt itself. How about if we step out of our little box and go try and look at some independent writing from companies who are advising institutions, companies who are advising investors, companies who are advising the companies themselves on what to put on their ballot and how to vote based on what is on the ballot, whether it's for or against. You're going to find some guidance from these independent sources. And more importantly, you're going to find that all of these issues are being addressed nationwide across all public companies. So to the 400 of you in the Project Popcorn gang, I challenge you to go do a video on Glass Lewis, the white paper they have on every single item that's on the AMC ballot. Corporate governance guidance for all public companies. I challenge you to go do a video on the same white paper available on ISS website, corporate governance. They have a white paper here covering every issue that's on the AMC ballot because none of these issues are specific to AMC. Your mind is just too narrow to see beyond the little box that you're standing on. I also challenge you to go read on Baker Botts. It is legal firms like Baker Botts or dozens of their peers. It is corporate governance companies like Glass Lewis and ISS that are advising companies like AMC and every other public company what to put on their ballots. We can see right here, Baker Botts has a white paper on what companies should do, guidance to companies about what they should do regarding the Delaware law change last year, or in 2022, about exculpation of officers. This is not something that AMC is doing independent to itself. There are literally dozens of law firms. You could go Google, if you would take half a minute to step out of your box and do some independent research. Dozens and dozens of corporate law firms advising companies what to put on their ballot. Now that's all fine and good, Tony. You say Baker Botts is telling AMC to put it on the ballot. Should we vote on it though? That's where you go to something like Glass Lewis or ISS website and you read their white paper about what they think. These guys are the big dogs on the block. They are advising big institutions, the ones with the large blocks of votes, how to vote on things that are on AMC's ballot and the similar things that are found on other companies' ballots, these exact same issues. This is the most important thing that I want you to take out of this video is that everything that is on AMC's ballot this year is not specific to AMC. This is not some grand conspiracy. There are literally 100, 200-page white papers written on everything that is on AMC's ballot because it's being addressed across the entire market. And since every public company is grappling with these issues on their ballots, I can say with a high degree of certainty that this is not some conspiracy for Antara or a hedge fund to take over AMC's board. Here we have the white paper for 2024 benchmark policy guidelines. And I want you just to read a couple things that I highlighted here where Glass Lewis goes into it in detail. And ISS has their own views on these same things. They talk about declassified boards, board composition. Board diversity is also here. That's an issue that GameStop is dealing with. Some of these firms are pushing companies to diversify their boards, and GameStop's is not diversified. Where is that coming from on GameStop's ballot? Is it hedge funds trying to tell GameStop what to do? No, it is benchmark guideline firms giving guidance to these companies to get this shit on their damn ballots. We have a section on auditors. There's an auditor vote every year, remember, on the AMC ballot. They talk about the executive compensation, say on pay, which comes up from time to time. Talk about executive ownership guidelines, CEO pay ratios, anti-takeover measures. And here we have a section on officer exculpation. Surprise, surprise. I don't know if it's in the 2024 benchmark guide, but there are years of guidance from Glass Lewis to companies about, guess what? Right of shareholders to act by written consent and right of shareholders to call a special meeting. That is proposals 3 and 4 on AMC's ballot. And in general, Glass Lewis is not very favorable to companies that restrict shareholders' rights. And I will let you read it for yourself. I want you to do your own research, but Glass Lewis says we are generally supportive of the right for shareholders to act by written consent. Regarding the right of shareholders to call a special meeting, they say Glass Lewis strongly believes that investors should have the ability to call meetings of shareholders between annual meetings to consider matters that require prompt attention. However, in order to prevent abuse and waste of corporate resources by a small minority of shareholders, we believe that shareholders representing at least a sizable majority of shares must support such a meeting prior to its calling. I'm not going to read through all of this. I want you to know where the resources are so that you can get your own due diligence done in the calmness of your own room without somebody yapping in your ear with conspiracies or pro Adam Aaron. No, just go read it yourself and form your own opinion. Use multiple tools. Use Glass Lewis, use ISS, use Baker Botts, Google some other legal law firms. Do your own due diligence. Glass Lewis also goes over in detail officer exculpation, as I mentioned earlier, on page 75 of their white paper, which is proposal number 5 on AMC's ballot. And besides asking you to do your own reading on Glass Lewis, ISS, or even on the Delaware Code online, the one thing that I see the conspiracy theorists failing to read for themselves is the actual Delaware Code, because I keep seeing them say that item number 5, proposal number 5 on the AMC ballot is to give AMC officers a free pass for any crimes they committed in the past, when you can read the law for yourself exactly what it says. No such provision shall eliminate or limit the liability of a director or officer for any act or omission occurring prior to the date when such provision becomes effective. So even if proposal 5 passed and you are convinced that some crime was committed previous to June 5th, 2024, the Delaware Code says right there in black and white that there is not going to be any elimination of liability. You are still on the hook if you committed a crime prior to June 5th, 2024, if proposal 5 passes. Do your own work, read it for yourself, fact check me, and make your own videos explaining this to your viewers, because a lot of people have been putting out a lot of misinformation. So in closing, my exact instructions to you on what to do with the upcoming proxy statement are to do your own due diligence. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not going to tell you how to vote. I never tell you how to vote. I try and cover these items from an educational perspective to expand your mind beyond the very narrow view that many people have, that AMC is the only play, that everything that's going on is a conspiracy. I want you to step out of your box. I want you to expand your mind, expand your thinking, do some real due diligence, look at some independent data sources, understand the big picture of what's going on in Delaware, of what's going on in the entire market. None of the issues on AMC's ballot are specific to AMC. All companies are dealing with these issues at one time or another. And how to vote on it ultimately is up to you and your motivations and what you want to do. It's always your right, your choice. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I would like you to read beyond the information you're being fed, whether it's from pro-AMC people or anti-AMC people. Do the due diligence yourself and form your own opinions. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them below. Thank you once again for watching. I am Tony Denaro, and I will see ya on the next video.